Mini camp, mandatory version of it is over. Now we're in the home stretch, about 6 weeks away from training camp, and the Browns have a fifth-round pick on their roster, two former first-round picks on their roster, and Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, and a guy who they drafted in the third round who's about as tall as me and can barely see over his offensive line. So there's two different answers to this, right? One of them is who will start week one. The other is who should start week one. We're going to answer the topic on the topic bar, which is who should start week one. Before I do that, I'm going to tell you who will start week one because it's a different answer. The who will start week one, well, in my opinion, unless there is a miracle change, will be the ageless wonder Joe Flacco at 40 years old, who I think a lot of people are forgetting, actually, in my opinion, did not play that great when he was with the Browns a couple of years ago, threw almost as many interceptions as Deshaun Watson did during his time when he was on the field last year. It's just Joe Flacco was very liked in the locker room, and, the defense played very well at that time, and he matched very well with the Kevin Stefanski system. Who should start week one is a different answer because it's definitely not Dylan Gabriel. I mean, if I was a coach, if they're not going to do it, I would cut Dylan Gabriel. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I'm on record. I don't believe he's an NFL quarterback. Kenny Pickett, I think, is a backup in this league. He obviously backed up for your reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles this past season. He's not going to start week one, though. Who should start week one? Who will give this town some energy? Who will give this town some boost? A town where the Cleveland Cavaliers are an absolute disgrace. They're sissies. They can't be tough with anybody. The Cleveland Guardians are falling down a tube right now. Can't win a ball game to save their lives. It should be the guy that was drafted in the fifth round, Shedeur Sanders. I know that me and Fitz and you disagree on Shedeur. I know Fitz, our Voltage Life colleague, is very adamant and against Shedeur, and he was not in favor of drafting him in the first round. And he thought a second or third round, you could take a flyer on him. I thought Shedeur was the second best quarterback in this draft behind Cam Ward. And I think he's absolutely, positively right now, without taking a snap, the best quarterback on the Browns roster.
So, I know I'm in the minority on this, but I do not like Joe Flacco. I'm sorry. I will not forgive and forget what he did with the Baltimore Ravens, beating us at almost every time. I don't care what others say. I'm going to hold my serve on that. Unless Joe Flacco wins us a Super Bowl, then I'll change my tune. But
if Joe Flacco this year wins the Browns a Super Bowl, I will do whatever you want. I will buy you whatever you want.
Don't worry, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to hold you to that because at best, the Browns are going to go 6-11.
That's optimistic. But by the way, that's if Flacco starts all 17 games. I told you this last week. I am dead serious about this. If Shedeur Sanders comes in, this whole Browns franchise and this organization could turn around like that. If Shedeur Sanders comes in and makes an impact the way I think Cam Ward could be in Tennessee, the Browns could go from, oh my God, this team is barely going to win 3 games to, wait a minute, this team's a playoff team. That's how much I actually believe Shedeur Sanders could change this team around.
I could see him theoretically becoming the starting quarterback after the bye week and coming in and playing at the New York Jets in week 10.
See, that's where I disagree with you because here's what I think. If Flacco starts the season, personally, and I know you're going to hate to hear this, Josh, I think he's going to start week 7 against the Dolphins. And the reason why I say that is because, 1, it's a home game. And number 2, because the Browns will be 0-6 by then.
Okay. So you think they lose to the Bengals, Ravens, Packers, Lions, and Vikings, and Steelers?
Yes. If Flacco starts, yes. If Shedeur starts, you're probably 3-3.
Interesting. I could see them beating the Bengals. We've had success against the Bengals here in Cleveland.
Like week 1 is weird. Yeah, I could. But part of me is thinking, I know the Bengals got contract disputes. Here we go again. Whatever, Cincinnati. It's like my thought process is at some point the Bengals are going to get off to a good start.
For God's sakes, they lost week 1 against the Patriots last season.
But that's why I think this year they're going to look at it and they're going to say, guys, that loss technically is the reason why we didn't make the playoffs.
Like
this is what we always say in football, right? This is why I love football. This is why I love the fact that it's only 17 games. This is why I keep telling you that the NBA needs to cut regular season games and Major League Baseball needs to cut regular season games because every game matters. We always say, oh, it's week 1. They'll be fine. It's a fluke. And for some teams, that's true. Like my Eagles started 2-2, and then they went on their run after their bye week. But for other teams like Cincinnati, week 1 is life or death.
Yeah. By the way, I was not expecting the Browns to face Cincinnati in week 1. I actually predicted them to be on the road in Gillette Stadium in Foxborough facing the New England Patriots, and then I had them playing their home opener in week 2 against Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans.
I like the fact they put Ward versus the Browns, though, later in the year because I think that Shedeur's not going to start the season. And you could get number 1 pick versus who many people thought at the time was going to be the number 2 pick, like you did.
Yes. And again, the reason I thought the Browns would do that with the number 2 pick is because, again, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, or shame on you. However the saying goes, I don't care. The Browns drafted Johnny Manziel. They drafted Baker Mayfield. They have a history of drafting quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders. Again, I get that Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield had different off-the-field issues than Shedeur. I get it. But I put all 3 of them into the same category nonetheless. Hopefully you get what I mean there.
Yes. So, real quick, back to this quarterback thing. I don't know why this coaching staff loves Dylan Gabriel so much because he literally does not fit the mold of a Kevin Stefanski quarterback. This dude in mini camp when they're 7-on-7, not even tackling people, was 7 of 18 one day. How do you go 7 for 18 at mini camp? And once you get 11 passes, ban it down.
It's so interesting though, because go back and watch the draft reactions in the Browns.
Oh, I know.
Like, you watch when they drafted Dylan Gabriel, everybody's like, yay! We got our guy. And then when they drafted Shedeur, it's like,
I kept telling you people, you guys thought Baker Mayfield was too small. What do you think Dylan Gabriel is?
Yeah, but just
and by the way, he's a lefty. How is that gonna work? I don't know. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of Tua. I don't know if you know this on me or not. I do not like lefty quarterbacks. I don't think lefty quarterbacks work in the NFL. It's the reverse of the arm movement, the way the ball comes out of their hands. Receivers are not used to it. I don't think it works.
If the Browns start Joe Flacco, which I agree with you, I think they will. If they then flip to Dylan Gabriel, that's a complete change in offense because you're going from a righty who is basically a statue to a lefty who I understand your criticism of him, but he has shown that he is not a true mobile quarterback, but I think Dylan Gabriel has some athleticism.
In college, where the line's a little bit shorter, typically on average, than the NFL offensive line. The other thing is, this is what I'm struggling with. How are they going to evenly divide this competition? Like, clearly, they're going to have to use some of the preseason games. I mean, the preseason games are going to be the most interesting Browns preseason games in a decade. But, like, is Shedeur going to get the 4th team one week and then the 1st team the next week? Like, how are you going to judge? I would almost think that you go in there and saying, okay, it's going to be Flacco as the starter. Don't give him any reps. And basically rotate Pickett, Shedeur, and Dylan Gabriel for 3 preseason games. One gets an opportunity every game to start, and that's how you decide it.
Yeah, the Browns have like every team, they have 3 preseason games. Well, not like every team, because the Chargers and
the Lions, I think, right?
Chargers and Lions, I think, have 4 because they're playing in the Hall of Fame game.
The Browns really needed 4 this year. The other thing is they spent all this capital, a 3rd-round pick on Dylan Gabriel. That's a 3rd-round pick in the NFL is not like a 2nd-round pick in the NBA. It's valuable capital. So I don't see them getting rid of Dylan Gabriel. So the only way that they are going to not carry 4 quarterbacks basically is if they cut Shedeur Sanders, which I don't see, or B, trade Kenny Pickett and pray a quarterback goes down. That's what they're waiting for. Pray a team like the Saints want to give a 4th-round pick for Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. Which the Saints are a total mess. Who knows what's going to happen with them? Good
exactly.
God.